Hey kids, welcome to Talk Time with Amy Boston and my sidekick. Welcome to Friday night. This is kind of early for everybody. It's kind of nice because we got other people going on and all of that. Excuse me 1 second, okay? Sorry. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Tonight, who we got in here tonight? We got Nick Nack. Hey, Nick Nack. Good to see you, baby. I know. I can't even get my days right these days. We had Prince Lover. Good to see you, Prince Lover. Always a pleasure. That was me. Thank you, Nikki. You're always holding down the fort for me. Oh, thank you. Oh, Stacy. Hey, good to see you, Mama. All right. And backstage we got Kelly.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
My sidekick. Yes,
I
can hear you.
All right, cool.
I can hear you. Yes. So happy Friday, girlfriend.
I know. I can't believe it's already the Friday. It's been a crazy week.
It's been a crazy week. A lot of carry emotions coming in, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff to digest.
And it's 5 o'clock right now, and all those emotions are about to drop again today.
You know it. You absolutely know it. They are just dropping bombs. They're doing it more for appeal purposes because they know they know Bev isn't gonna Bev ain't budging, right?
No. Beverly is going. It's really bad when the lady on TikTok, Miss McKinley, the new Esquire lady, new lawyer on TikTok that everybody likes.
She's wonderful. Yeah.
Literally she's like, I haven't mentioned anything about Bev. This was her post today. And she said, Beverly, she's like, I know she's in on it. She's like, I know she's in on it. She's like, and I never would have said that about a judge. But she said it was her asking Dr. Russell questions in the first trial. And she's like, that's the moment I knew that Bev was in on it.
Yes, I agree.
It was like, oh, she even got it. So she is hilarious.
Right. She is. I love her videos. And speaking of, I don't know what's going on with him. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. She is hysterical. We have a special guest tonight, which is awesome. And I'm so excited to speak to her. Law Girls Not Attorney podcast. Amanda is joining us tonight, which I'm super excited to get to know her and see what's going on with that. Yeah, sorry, my son's distracting me per usual. At least there's no death-defying accidents in the middle of us.
It's called life. We are mamas.
Yeah, it is.
We have our kiddos. Listen, we have families.
I'm a mama of little baby. So yeah, and he loves his mama. And without further ado, let's bring up Amanda from Law Girls Not Attorneys. Hey, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
How are you?
Hey,
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Yeah. All right.
He is a ham. He is such a ham, but I love him.
He is a ham. So, Amanda, welcome to Talk Time with Amy and Kelly. It's really good to have you on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your podcast?
So I'm just starting out. I was going to launch in January, and we had a setback, and so I was actually going to do a show with Tom CPU in January, and then
we know him.
He's awesome. He's the best. He's
amazing.
Yeah. So like I said, we had a setback, but we're back in business now, trying to, when I say we, myself and my 15-year-old daughter who does homeschooling, and that's kind of a piece of it. She's learning the law through the Karen Reed trial. I'm a paralegal or in getting ready to go into law school now. Just finished my paralegal associate's degree. So yeah, it kind of
Very
all
cool.
yeah,
My
we've
twin. Sorry, my twin just popped up on there. I was like, "Hi, my twin." But
That's amazing. So you finished paralegal school and you want to get into law school? You want to be a lawyer?
I think so. It's long and difficult, and it costs a lot of money to go through law school. But, and I mean, typically speaking, the paralegal is really the one who's writing like the motions, which is something that I excel at. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna go through 4 years. I'm 46 now, so I would be 50,
Right.
which is, it can be done. I'm confident that I could do it, but just kind of seeing how this goes, seeing how this takes off, and then, the future is, yeah.
I have a question about motions. Like when you're doing that, how are you coming up with case law and the things that you want to actually portray in that motion? Because, with the
Yeah.
Karen retrial, like Alessi and they put out some killer motions, and there's times that you're like, where did that even come from? So where would that come from when you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing that we learn in school is legal research and writing is huge. And the professors that we have, that it's great. It's like these are attorneys, practicing attorneys or judges that we're learning from. So they're teaching us the way, which is great. We have things, access to different databases where we can put in keywords, key phrases to look for arguments or look for historic cases that are going to argue our point, that's going to support our point or the attorney's point. And we'll read a little bit of it, a little bit to make sure that it's conveying the point that we want to convey. Hank Brennan is not so great at that. He puts up this case law. I swear his paralegal hates him because
And he
she
brought
puts
his
up,
personal one, right? Didn't he bring his
yeah,
personal paralegal? Like,
yeah, yeah. And she like misspells things all the time. Pro sector
All the time.
was a big one.
Yeah.
And so like my running theory is that his paralegal is leaving like Easter eggs like Taylor Swift in these motions of like misspelled words, Breenan, and someday we're gonna get her message like, help me, she's being held hostage or something.
like blink twice. Blink twice if you need help.
Blink twice if you need help. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw like there's one lady on, I don't know who it was, on X, I don't remember right now, but she likes to correct all his motions with a red pen.
Yeah.
It's so yeah. Melanie Little on YouTube, she is like, she picks them out as soon as she reads through them.
Yeah.
It's so important because you're in a place where you're held to a higher standard, or you're supposed to be held to a higher standard. So you should be going through and double and triple checking to make sure that these things that are going to be on the record for the rest of time are a great reflection of your knowledge and your argument.
Right. Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, it makes you look like a fool in open court and having all of that. It's kind of reminiscent of all of the Canton State police officers misspelling last names and not getting addresses right and everything just based on the investigation alone. It's pretty ugly, right?
I mean,
So,
they don't
what do
even
you
have
guys?
reports for anything either, so it's like not like they can go off that.
And that's a
Yeah.
great point, Amy, too, is that like by him misspelling his name as Breenan, if I go into like Westlaw or LexisNexis that I'm going to look up case law, I'm not going to find him if I put in Brennan because he spelled it Breenan.
Right. Yeah, it's all tomfoolery.
A lot of
Right?
it, who knows what's on purpose and what is just,
incompetence. But it's like, is it incompetence or is it corruption, right? Someone saving their. So what made you guys start to want to put your podcast together and talk about it? Obviously you have a wealth of knowledge being a paralegal and going through school, you know, with case law and things. What got you guys going on that?
I think just maybe not having a real direction on what I wanted to do, but really interested in the Karen Reed case, and wanting my daughter to see it's a really unjust system as it stands right now, and I have seen it firsthand for myself. My daughter has seen it firsthand for herself. So just kind of a collaboration and seeing what happens, trying it out, and if it works out, great, and if not, but it's been fun. It's been fun getting to know everybody and having a way to talk to people about the things that I'm interested in. It gives my daughter a great outlet. She does, TikToks or, different videos. So it's a direction, I think. So.
That's amazing. And you guys have a bunch of TikToks. And what's your name on TikTok so people can follow you?
We keep things the same across the board. So it's all Law Girls, Not Attorneys. And that's on TikTok. That's on Instagram. That's on Facebook. Yeah.
Amazing. And you guys have done one show so far, one show of your podcast.
Yep, we did our first show with Video Jesus, Abby, who is phenomenal. I have some tech background too. I'm kind of like jack of all trade, master of none throughout my career. So I could understand kind of what she was putting out there, and asked her if she would, be able to come on the show. And she had been making the rounds, and she said she agreed to it, and it was a great conversation.
Great. I really like her.
She's really good. Yeah. She is really good.
Yeah. So what does your daughter feel like with all the new stuff, like stuff she's learning? Because I know how she's feeling. Like, I've learned more about law than I ever have in my life based off of the Karen Reed trial. And I've been watching trials for a while. So for me, it's like, what is your daughter, how does she feel about what she's learning and the things she's seeing? Because I know corruption is a big deal, and it's like, as young as she is, how does it make her look at the world,
I think she had seen it already, and that was part of what drew us to Karen's story. She has kind of had her own not similar, but being a female that's wrapped up in the court system in one way or another. It's you see different things, and if you're a male, it just is how it is. So I think she gets very frustrated. She wants to fight. She wants to, we go up there and we're boots on the ground, and she gets to witness it firsthand. I think it's very frustrating. She wants to do everything that she can to help support Karen and be a part of this and witness what's going on in history. It is historic. It really is.
Absolutely. Karen Reed could be any one of us.
There's going to be so much case law written just off this case. It's ridiculous.
Right. Absolutely. And her being so young, she's the next generation coming up. She's not even of legal age. And or I don't know if this is too personal. You don't have to answer this. Are you guys from Massachusetts or outside Massachusetts? Not that it matters.
We're from Rhode Island. Yeah, we're from Rhode Island. So we're maybe 45 minutes to an hour away. And so I don't know if I mentioned yet that we homeschool. So it's a great opportunity to, if there's a hearing on Tuesday, we can head up there, and that's homeschooling for the day. She's going to see the interactions of the state police, or we were able to go sit and watch the Lindsay Gaetana, I can never say her name right,
Gitani. LG.
Yeah.
She goes by fake victim here. We don't
Yeah.
Fake victim.
say her name.
Yeah. So we got to go see that, Turtle Boy's restraining order renewal that she wanted, and be able to see Grant with his shenanigans and getting thrown out of the courtroom by the judge was great.
You were there that day? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I need the tea on that. Yeah.
That is like right up there learning in
Yeah.
person with stupidity as well. Like all the stupid stuff you can do in court with Grant going crazy and doing the things that he does. So I think that's great. That's a great field trip for homeschool. I mean, I homeschooled my boys for a while. They're younger. But my youngest is 9. He's in 4th grade. He just started his first year in school. So I get how that is to kind of incorporate stuff in. So I commend you, Mama, because that is not an easy job. Not easy. So good job at that.
She definitely, I'm sure she feels like I get on her nerves and she gets on my nerves where but she does kickboxing. She has done wrestling, judo, jujitsu, and she does things outside of the house that kind of keep her engaged. So that's, important. And I think it was last week, she got to meet, we've met Tim Bradle before, but she got to meet Mark Betterow and take a picture with Mark Betterow.
Very
and
cool.
what other freshman?
That's amazing.
That's, gets to do that.
It's big time, honestly. Like it might not feel like it to other people, but for all of us that are involved in it, that's big time. That's thorough.
Yeah. She told him. She told him that he had a nice strong handshake, and he said, "Strong handshake is an important thing to have." Which words from Mark Betterow? It's this is his words of wisdom to a 15-year-old girl interested in law. Good strong handshake is important. That's you can't put a price tag on that.
I think I kind of froze. Sorry.
Hello? You guys there?
I think I froze. I'm here.
Can you guys?
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, perfect. I thought I lost everybody for a second there. Sorry. Back to it. So she met Betterow and she said he had a strong handshake, and that's like amazing. Betterow, like I love Betterow. I love me some Betterow. I mean, his mind. I'm really attracted to people's minds, and just as like people, if you can keep up. He's extremely intelligent, and not for nothing, as someone who has always learned hands-on, being a mom, bringing her, showing her what's happening in the Karen Reed movement is teaching her so many different things on so many different levels. And I really commend you for that. And she gets right in there. I like that.
What's funny?
Did she get to meet other lawyers that were there? Sorry, Amy. Did she get to meet other lawyers that were there that day?
She has met Tim Bradle, who I cannot say enough about Tim Bradle. He gets up there and he argues, and it's like he's just having a conversation with the judge, and his head is so full of the case. He knows the case law. He's like whips it out like, hey, it's like this case, he's just incredible. So she's met him. She met Karen the first time we went up. That was awesome, and got to talk to her. She has
That's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
And every time we go up there, Karen sees her and says, "Hey, Josie, how you doing?" Talks to her for a minute, and she's phenomenal. She has not met. Usually, the attorneys are swift in and out. So she has not gotten to meet the other attorneys, but they're definitely on a list, I would say, for both of us to meet. Oh, she's telling me from next to me here that she did meet Attorney Little. So that is
that's cool. She is a very inspiring woman. I love strong women who get up there and don't care and they speak their truth.
We're having a lot more, or a few more women of the lawyers coming out, and I love that, like with Nan and stuff like that.
Yes.
So people are actually starting to
Yes.
speak out, and it's normally the guys, and now we have like females getting up there and doing things, and so and I love that for her.
I
Like,
met Nan.
it makes me so happy to hear that she gets to do that and meet those people. So
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things, like, people have said to me, and attorneys have said to me, like, she's not going to get a better education than she's getting by, coming up here and watching what's going on and getting to see, like, the behind the scenes stuff too, that even if you're watching a hearing, you're not seeing it. Like, if you're streaming it at home, you're not seeing it. Like, for instance, we were at Aiden's hearing, the second part of his hearing last week. And I think, well, I'm sure the bailiffs thought that they were going to take him in that day. They thought that the arrest warrant was going to be issued and that they were going to be taking him in. And we just watched, like, the bailiffs circle. We watched the bailiff in the front go like this to the other ones, and they all circled in, like, at the end of the hearing, like they were going to lock him up. So those are the things that you get to see that, you only see it if you're in person.
Right. Have you ever made it into court or into one of Turtle Boy's hearings? I know that at one point they were in the big court, and then now they always transition to the small court so no one can come in. I'm just curious if you and your daughter ever made it in.
Yeah, we did. We made it into the second part of last week's hearing when it was for the wiretapping for the witness intimidation that Telly tried to add on for D&E Pizza.
window intimidation, you mean? It's window intimidation.
Window miming.
Yeah, window miming. I like that.
With T-Rex arms at that.
Yeah, with the glare. That was great. And, they caught Chris Albert wiretapping, federal wiretapping.
Federal.
Yeah. Or felony. They said felony wiretapping. And it could be federal too, I'm not sure. But
I heard that it could actually go up to federal if they pushed it that way. But I don't know if Rafferty, like, Federer wrote the letter, but I don't even know if Rafferty's going to do anything to.
Well, Nan this morning, or if you what show she was on maybe yesterday on Tom Seeking Justice, she had said that you can go to your local law enforcement, but we all know that's just a joke, or you could go rise above that and make it a federal complaint. And I think that wiretapping goes up federally anyway, so he could really be facing some repercussions for that.
And he's done it. He's been doing it for a long time. I mean, think about just last week of how many people were out in front of CF McCarthy's, and how many people he has. Yeah, I mean, like he has you guys and all that stuff, and SB and everybody that was there, and he has all those people. And I'm sure it's not the first time. And people in Canton out there talking and stuff like that. I just feel like it's gonna blow up in his face.
Right, absolutely. So you go to the buffer zone. It sounds like a lot. It's more than I'm usually behind the scenes watching from Tom CPU. What type of vibe has it been down there? Do you go to standouts? Do you do those kind of things?
So we've been to one
in other places.
In Warwick, we've been to a standout. It was an anniversary. I want to say it was in maybe January. It could have been like the anniversary, or it could have been February. Sometimes my time just melts together. But we went to one where Nathan, it was like a big one where the family was making the rounds. And Nathan was there in Warwick. And that was, it's always a good vibe. It's always, there's not drama. It's people talking about same thing you said, Amy, like, if this can happen to Karen, it can happen to any of us. And that's really the motivation behind it,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah. And when we go to hearings, when we're in like the buffer zone, it's always like people are friends. It's like, we were welcomed in, or like the first time we went, and like you start meeting people and talking to people, and then the next time you come there, oh, look at hey, how you doing, and they remember things about you, and you get to talk and you learn to, what people do after, Karen goes in. They hang out outside for a little bit. Some people go over to like the
Right.
registry of deeds and sit downstairs, and it's a whole thing now. You get to come together and react to the different hearings, what's stupid things Hank Brennan's saying, or how great Robert Alessi is arguing that day, and
Amazing.
yeah, so
He's another one where his brain, I just like want to like engulf him and get all the goods from him.
yeah,
He's
Oh,
absolutely
he
brilliant.
talks, and I'm like, he becomes so much more handsome as soon as he starts talking. Like, he's already handsome, but they all open their mouths, like, and stuff comes out, and I'm just like, hi, these dimples.
yeah,
Okay. Like, they all just are so just mesmerizing, I guess the word is. So,
Right. I was kind of getting at too, like a lot of mainstream media, or what we call the trolls or anti-Karen Reed people, really make people in the pink shirts out to be monsters, when in actuality the experience that I've had has been mostly positive. And I've met some really great people who think that the same woman is innocent and we're trying to do something about it, just like us three on panel and everyone in chat here. And they make us out to be like this mob, and even with the buffer zone and going the 200 feet or 200 yards or whatever it was. I guess it's nice to express that that's really not the experience that you have when you go down there, right? And you bring your
yeah.
15-year-old daughter and she's learning real time,
yeah,
what law is about. Yeah, it's
yeah,
incredible.
and she feels comfortable talking to everybody down there, and has made friends with other even kids her age, so it's been a great experience. I haven't had a negative experience. The only thing that I would say has been negative is when we will go down there thinking that there's going to be a hearing in the big courtroom because it's scheduled to be in the big courtroom, and they switch it last minute, and make you wait out in the cold. And it's like, this is supposed to be public. Why are we playing games? It's absurd, you know? So we kind of just make the
I
best
mean,
of it.
I
I will
thank God
say
all the
for
times
me,
great. You don't mind being there. Yeah.
I've met
I'm sorry,
more
Malika.
people through Free Karen Reed, even living in Florida, that I consider my family. Like
Right.
Amy and Nikki and Amanda and all these people that are Mark, all these people that are in here, and that they make us feel like they are their family. We don't feel like we're outsiders, and it makes me feel even more wanting to help more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
So, Amanda, you obviously watched the first trial, and if you're anything like me, you like consume Jerks and the Glara and Tom CPU and Melanie Little and
Hmm.
right. What was some of the highlight takeaways that you got from the first trial?
Um, I would say
What was some of the moments that stand out for you? And
Trooper Paul is the big one for me. And I feel like I try to be a person, I try to give everybody grace, and not, make fun of anybody. And I feel bad saying that he had no business being there. He really, like, this is what you're going to give up as an expert. Like, yeah, that was something that he really
He's
stood out to
coming
me.
back too. He's on the witness list again.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I would say when I look at that witness
pirouette
list,
Paul.
yeah, it's so absurd. When I look at the witness list, I think about the things that I have experienced in court and what is actuality, what is actually going to happen versus what's been put into papers. And like, just because they're on the witness list doesn't mean, it could be a distraction. We're not really going to put Trooper Paul up. We're actually going to put this other person, but kind of throw you off and make you think that. So my daughter says it's guerrilla warfare. um,
She ain't
you know,
lying.
She's really not.
Yeah, she's not lying.
You know,
That's
putting
crazy.
Aiden up there. Is Hank Brennan really going to call Aiden? Who knows? That things are done strategically and they're done, for a reason. Who knows?
I'm going to give you my thought on that. If he's a witness, he can't be in the courtroom.
Right.
So he's strategically putting him on there because so that he can't be in the courtroom doing his journalism thing. It's just another way of controlling Aiden or Karen or whatever. And this is what he does, right? This is what he's getting paid to do. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, my thinking on that, and he had his bus stop live this morning that I caught the tail end of, and he's like, would I rather be in the courtroom as a witness or as a reporter? And he's like on the witness stand every day of the week. And I think of Emily D. Baker, who says basically, like, once you've rung the bell, you can't take that back. So it would be, I don't think it would be too bright of Hank to put Aiden on the stand, because Aiden's going to say the thing, and then the jury has heard the thing.
Aiden's saying the thing. He is for show saying the thing.
Oh, Aiden in Turtle Club last night, he flat out said, put me on the stand. He said he would give up doing the show and not going into court if he could be against Hank. And he's like, they want to know the feds are there, I'll let them know the feds are there. He's like, they don't want the stuff said, it's gonna be said. He's like, so try me. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, Aiden would be a wild card up there. I don't know if Brennan's ready for that. I don't know. But in the flip side of that, he's also considered a witness. So if Chris Albert is out there wiretapping sidewalks and whatever, is that considered witness intimidation now? It could be in Massachusetts. You hurt my feelings. You illegally recorded me and now I'm a witness. So he can, you know what I mean? Tit for tat type of thing. Not saying that he would, but at the end of the day, definitely a possibility. So
I think
Trooper Paul.
It could be a fun thing, actually.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. For personal, like just wanting to witness it. So Trooper
Total
Paul
personal
was
reasons,
definitely
but it was good.
a huge takeaway. Who else stood out to you and why?
So I look at Karen now and I think of her like she's somebody that I would be a friend. She would be my friend in school. And I've read read an article recently by, I think it was like one of her teachers, and I think it was like the Taunton Gazette or something like that. And just knowing what I have seen of her and what I have, witnessed, talked to her brother, I am very protective of the idea of, you know what I mean? Like what she has experienced, what she has gone through. So testimony that really stood out to me, and I try to be, like I said, I try to have grace, and I try to be understanding of other people, but Marietta and Laura Sullivan, I just can't. I can't. I just feel it deep down in, in my body.
They're mean girls, is what
they're
they
mean
are.
girls. Yeah.
Mean girl.
Yeah.
It's like they have their burn book and they're sitting behind Paul waving and making signs to the TV. And it's like, ugh, like it's gross. I just want to be like, no, we wear pink on Wednesdays. Not you.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
You can't sit with us.
That's right.
Yeah, that was definitely something to cut Karen. And unneeded, and those girls, listen, between us and the people watching us, listen, all these women sweated John, right? And Karen had him. So what's like the first thing that catty mean girls are going to do is attack the love interest, right? Whether something happened in Aruba happened, because at the end of the day, you're tarnishing Officer John O'Keefe's name as well by making him out to be, do you know what I mean? By the inference of it, I thought it was of bad taste as well. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like with Karen, she knows what she thinks she saw. I would be the
Who
same
knows
if I
what
would have
she
seen
saw?
something like that. I would have
Yeah,
come out a flying. I would have been like,
she saw
crazy.
it.
What are you
She
doing?
saw it.
Like,
You know what?
for her to
Yeah.
even
Listen, you know what you saw
apologize.
and heard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
you
Yeah.
was
know what you
so
saw and heard.
gaslit. Like, you know, to use that term, she was so gaslit, I feel like. And then, like, I have been that girl where it's like, you know, oh my God, I'm so sorry about like my behavior. I flipped out. I, you know, like
Same.
thought I saw something that I didn't really see. Let me pay for your room. Like, you know,
Girl, when
she
they talked
she
about
was
the text
kissing him.
messages
Like,
in
it's
court,
just,
I was like,
mhm.
done it.
Yep.
Hi,
Mm-hmm.
done it. Not
Yep.
drunk. Done it sober.
Yep. And
Yeah.
I think
So
that Laura too was probably had something going on with you know, that's my gut feeling
Yeah,
is
with the
like,
sun
makes
and the
sense.
yeah.
okay. She was so excited. She was like, "Oh my God, you should come with us to Aruba." And John's like, "Okay, like yeah, I'll be there with the kids and my girlfriend Karen." And she was like, her stomach sunk. I
She
know it.
spurted real quick. She
Like,
was like,
oh my
what?
yeah. Yep. She had some kind of and she's talking about how they could get two rooms, but they wouldn't be anywhere near each other or anything. Um, you know, she had ideas. She was gonna try to do something, I think. So I'm not
I
a
agree.
fan at all.
I agree.
She just
Did
looks.
we notice them on the Commonwealth list again?
Yeah, they're
I
on
don't
it.
remember
Both
seeing
of
them.
them are
They
on
are
it.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
seeing them.
Which, because
All
they're gonna
right.
definitely try to
Yeah,
push
the
that for
Marriott. Yeah.
her for character. But honestly, like if you anybody thinks about it, like she flipping paid for like 20 people's dinner
Yeah.
to because she felt bad, and then
I
when it
think Kelly
came to
cut
like the
out.
next, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you.
She paid for
Yeah.
like 20
Go ahead.
people's dinner, and then she all of a sudden like had to pay for. She paid for Marietta's room.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
and you're gonna sit there and be
She sure
like,
did.
she's a bitch. Well, dude, she paid for your stuff. Like, that's an apology to me. Like, if Amy and I got into it,
Yeah,
and
she
you paid for
tried.
my room, I'd be like, hey, sister, let's go.
Yeah. How can you feel okay getting
Let's
on
go
the
for
stand after that? Like after, you know, if it was truly like you know, you didn't really see what you thought you were seeing and Karen came forward, you're going to get on the stand and you're going to, you know, infer that she's crazy and that John really wasn't like like what kind of trash bag are you? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
What kind of trash
Amen.
bag are you?
Amen.
I just,
Listen,
I'm
and
a
we
woman's
have
woman.
all.
Amy's the same. We're both women's girls, like women's women. We want to
I'm a
build
woman's
women
woman. Yeah.
up. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to tear women down. And so to me, she's tearing women, she's tearing Karen down for no reason. And it's pure jealousy. You can tell.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
For sure. For
agreed.
sure. And not for nothing, I'm sure we've all been in relationships where we're not with like the best guy at the right time and they're making us feel crazy. And then you're like, I feel crazy. Well, it's because of the way you're being treated too. So let's just keep that in. And they brought them in to reinforce that feeling of she was crazy, but like, you know, we don't know really what happens behind closed doors. And a lot of the times it's, not really not everything is as it seems. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
yeah.
You know.
And that was one motion that I was really happy to see this time around too. On Karen's side, the defense put in a motion to, I don't remember if it was to exclude them as witnesses or, you know, there it was part of their testimony, but it's like it's not you're not offering, like she was not acting on this on the night of the you know what I mean, like um it's not was not able to connect closely, you know, that this is why, if it did happen, that this could be the reason, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, so I would
I,
like to see them struck personally, like get out of here, we don't need you, go
it's a
away.
distractor is all it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Just like all the
distractor.
firefighters with the shoveling of the apron
Like,
over and over and over.
SC played that video today, and she said that the guy was like, "Oh, we can just get a weatherman. We'd have to sit through 6 firemen telling us that it was snowing that day." I was like, "Oh my god, it was snowing? What?" I didn't know it was snowing.
Like the 3 inches that happened at that time. Anyway, so actually, I want to get your thoughts. So, Trooper Proctor obviously was a shock factor in the first trial, and we knew some stuff and didn't know other stuff, and we all became horrified at it all, right? What are your thoughts on Proctor and what happened during the first trial? And do you think he's going to be called again and called out in front of the new jury?
I think it would be not a great idea for him to be called back up. I know he's on the witness list. I saw the statement that his family put out yesterday. I know that he had another part of his hearing yesterday. I think that he has proven that he has not learned his lesson at all based on his text message to Lally. Like, you already know that we're looking at your text messages and you're going to text Lally and say, I didn't listen to, Alan Jackson's closing statement because he's an asshole. Like, did you not learn? So I think Hank Brennan knows that if he puts him up there, it's going to be like open mouth, insert foot, and things can go really badly.
Things are going to go bad. Yeah.
Things.
I don't know how they're going to get around it.
It's going to go into
the defense will call him. Yeah. Whether he gets whether he gets fired, which I don't think he will. Whether he gets fired first or not, I think he's definitely going to get called up to the stand, if not by the Commonwealth, by the defense. And what's that going to look like?
They're trying to get all his stuff thrown out. That's the thing that drives. Hey, Tom, that's the thing that drives me crazy. Is like they're trying to get all of his text messages, all of that stuff thrown out, which I don't think that they can do. I don't think she's going to allow that myself, because that's. I mean, they're already making Karen fight with one hand. At least that's what it feels like. And so, like, she somehow it's got to be to where they can bring that up. But like the whole thing with Proctor's wife and her statement yesterday, that guy made it sound like it was this big statement. It was the same exact statement she put on Facebook right after the trial in June or July.
Yeah.
So,
she didn't
come up with new words.
How are you going to say this stuff when you're literally out there calling people's employers? Like we don't know that. She has to know that we know that she has done that, called people's employers to try to get them like fired or like.
That's a fact. Yeah, that's something that she did because she's trash. No one does that to somebody.
But
in my opinion, that's my
way with anything.
No, you're right. And they do it too. Or things that they do, and then they turn around and say that we do, or they yell at Free Karen Reed for it. And it's like I turn around, like Plevin said something yesterday up to Turtle Boy on X. Turtle Boy put something about being a witness, and he said, "Oh, gonna ride that Karen gravy train to the max." And I wrote, "Have you looked in a mirror? Because you do it too." Like.
And I will say, my thinking from the beginning, from the second that I heard it, I do not think that the federal investigation is over, is my personal opinion.
I don't either.
I don't. The only thing that we have heard so far is from Hank Brennan, and we know that Hank Brennan lies. So I don't think that the federal investigation is over, and I think that maybe if anybody tipped off like Ted Daniel, or Hank Brennan, I think it came from Plevin. I really do, because I think that he could present himself as a reputable source because he's been on like court TV or whatever before. So if you looked up his name, you might think that he's somebody who might know something, but he really doesn't. So that's just my theory.
I mean, he still has 40 people in his chat, and he's been on how long?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can, not to say like people's chats are, better than everybody else's. I'm just saying that, like, you've been on for how long covering this case, and you know every other creator that covers these cases, and they have hundreds of people, no matter what, that they are doing. Like, we're new and we're starting out, so like, to me, this is fun. This is hanging out and talking to friends. And but like you have people like Blair, you have Will, you have LTL, you have Young Jerks, like everything that Amy said, and these people have got thousands of people in their chats at one time, and Plevin still has 40. Like,
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm not trying to
Right.
be mean and like come down on him, but it's the truth.
Well, because
Right.
you can only convince so many people that she's guilty, or like, people for the most part, I think, want to believe that people are good, and I think that people believe the facts if they can be exposed to them, if it can be put in front of them. So that's been one thing that I have really worked hard to do, is like expose people to what's really going on. Like, this morning, the top news story here was that the federal court had denied the motion that was put in, or it wasn't an appeal, had denied Karen's, appeal. And when it was reported, it was like Bristol County woman. And it's like, why are you reporting it as Bristol County woman? How about we report it as Norfolk County is where it's happening?
Exactly.
Right.
Well, and they did
Right.
they put another
State
appeal
the
in.
fact.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, they
Right.
appealed it, which to me means, and I was so happy to see that, that means, and I shared this with my daughter, like, they knew it was going to be denied. It's not a shock to them. I'm sure that as time has gone by and things have been denied that Karen has thought we're going to be, or has hoped we're going to be successful, I'm sure that the disappointment has lessened over time, and I'm sure that her attorneys expected that. And we know that based on the fact that the denial came through today and they hit him with the appeal the same day. So they had
I
it
feel like
ready
they
to
had it
go.
ready.
Yeah.
Like it
Right.
was ready to go.
Right.
They were waiting for that appeal. They were waiting for that denial so that they could just. It was like boom up this morning. I was like, dang, that was a quick turnaround. Or unless he stayed up all night, right, and figured it out. But I think they had it ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's crazy. So the upcoming trial, and all of the new motions dropping, and the Crosby ordeal, and them, with the ARCA. What do you think? And you just as what do you think is going to happen with the ARCA people? Because they want to say that they weren't hired by anyone. They want to say the federal government. Do you think Bev's going to let that, and why or why not?
I think that, going based on the first trial, I think that Karen's attorneys are going to have a way to be able to, and especially thank God for Aiden and his interview with Ronnie, because now we know like what the jury was thinking. They were thinking, oh, he was, Arco was maybe hired by the insurance company or hired by Turtle Boy. So now we know, Alessi and Yannetti and Little and Alan Jackson, they're going to know how to tailor their questions to, make reasonably intelligent people be able to come to that conclusion. That's what attorneys are great at. Trial attorneys are great at, is like, let's figure out where we want you to, even if we don't say it, what do we want you to, get to? What's your, reasonable inference, I think. So I think the jury will maybe know this time. And I've seen different motions that are like, hint to like maybe that they'll know. So
In the first trial,
Yeah.
Elizabeth Little wasn't like someone that I was like drawn to. I was more drawn to the guys because they were so loud and outspoken. But I feel like Elizabeth Little is a silent but deadly lawyer. And
I agree with you.
The motion that she said the other day, like, it got clouded by the fact that Brennan was saying that they did something wrong.
yeah.
But I don't know if people actually watched what she said. And she basically said that she did that he was opposing the motion, and that they found it funny that she was opposing it because he was opposing it because it was verbatim from his motion.
Yeah.
They literally copied and pasted his motion, and he called it broad and not, in the scope. And I was like, are you serious? Like, that was, I don't think people heard that. And I was like, come on, guys, she's so deadly. She might be quiet and calm, but when she comes out swinging.
And she's finding her voice. I did catch her say that, and it was like, oh, shots fired. If you pick up on those things. But she's finding her voice. I think she's working with Alan Jackson. She's watching. She's only gonna get better and better. But she's finding her, like, she's becoming more vocal, and she's fighting about that metadata, and it is so important.
Well,
It's so important.
Bev asked for the metadata for the email.
Yeah.
You can't tell us no metadata and then say, I want the metadata. Like,
yeah,
that doesn't make sense to me.
It's like, okay, there's no metadata, and we don't have the original files, but it's like, oh, but no, actually we do have that. Like,
and he's like, is it in iCloud, or is it in the hard drive, or is it in the paper file? Like, which file did we find it in? Because we've got all three.
It's like, Amy, it's like probably trying to pull a lie out of your 4-year-old. You know what I mean? Like, his story's gonna change. Like, I don't know where I put it.
Bro. Yeah.
I don't know. Lives
it's
here.
Like in his hand.
Not me.
I don't know.
I didn't do that.
I'm gonna start charging,
or even like
not me, and I don't know rent, because they are been in my house for 20 years, and I want to find them. When I find not me and I don't know, they owe me so much money, because they've been here 20 years, and I did not say that I would support them. So, I mean, and that's what it's like.
I
understand.
Oh yeah, Lucas. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm watching Lucas's comment here. But Canoni interrupts defense to set them off balance, and it drives me nuts. And Alessi is really good. Alessi is a boxer, so the thing about him is he can, like, catch a blow to the head and be like, shake it off and be like right back at it. So I love that about him. But it does drive me nuts when she'll stop him, like, in the middle of talking to ask a stupid question, or to be like, how much longer are you going to be? Because, we want to go on break or whatever. And it's like, just what?
Yeah. I love how he stops her, and he'll be like, I'm getting to that. Like, give me a chance. Yeah. She's very dismissive of people, only the defense. And I will say that she's a little more dismissive of Brennan than she was of Lally. I think she felt like Lally was like a wounded animal,
Lally's her baby.
Out of his Lally was out of his league, right?
Lally's still nursing. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Lally's still nursing. And she's like, don't you want, like, a teacher calling on a student, like, what do you have to say? Don't you have, like, a response to that? You know the answer to this. Speak up.
Do you want to object, Lally?
You're so right, Amanda. It's so funny.
I was watching it today, and there's the one that she says, or Lally was standing up, and Jackson was like, I haven't even asked a question, and he's standing up, and she's like, Mr. Lally, sit down, please. And I was like, and he was like a child, like, fine, okay, I'll sit at the table.
I also love the motion. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go right ahead. Go ahead.
I also love the motion that I think it was the defense, it had to have been the defense, filed for objections, to give the reason for the objection, which from what I understand is, like, on appeal, they want to know what was the objection beyond just the word objection. Was it hearsay? Was it foundation? Was it calls to, was it speculation? Because that's going to be important, because we know that the prosecution and the judge, they like to change their mind on things. So when it goes up to appeal, like, it needs to be on the record. It is such an important thing when you're in court. Like, a lot of these things that are said or motions filed, the defense knows they're going to be denied, or they know that they're going to be denied, or whatever. But the important
Right.
thing is to make the record. You want it to be said, chiseled into stone, that you said that thing, so that if it goes to appeal, you know, somebody can look at that. So that was one motion that I really liked, is everybody that we listen to as far as law tubers is like, this is the most ridiculous thing. You stand up and say objection, like, why are you objecting to it?
Right.
You
And
know?
everything
I-
you have to say is on the record. Like Lally has said that, or I mean, Jackson has said that. Like, I
Yeah.
just want it on the record because I don't
Yeah.
agree.
And
I
Yannetti
do
has
like
said
that
that.
they
I
have
just
the
need to make my
motion.
record, you know,
Yeah.
like, and she cuts him off. It was like during the last trial, when I think it was Lally, like, made him out to be a liar, or maybe Brennan made him out to be a liar. And he's like, listen, they're coming in here saying, you know, questioning
Oh, on
my,
court TV.
yeah, you know, yeah. And so you know, and she's, Bev was like, you know, we don't need like the hyperbole. The jury's not even in here. And he's like, okay, but I still need to make my record. I still want to say what I'm here. Like,
Oh yeah, that was when they met at with Lucky at the school
oh
last
yeah,
trial. But
yeah,
the last time Brennan just tried to make him look like a liar too, saying that he was on court TV, and he stood up and said, I was, you know, I want to make sure extrajudicial statements are not going to what was in court. And because he's like, that was actually in court. And Brennan stood up while he was walking back to the table and said, court TV was not in court. And then I was like, oh, bet, watch. And I found it and I posted it. And I'm like, really? It wasn't in court? It wasn't in court? Because it was their trial that court TV cropped to make it look like they were talking to them. But even if you if you would have listened to it, even if it's mistitled, it says Karen Reed and her attorney is talking to court TV. If you listen to it, Vinny does say in this hearing you're about to see, like, he literally says it's a hearing. So, I mean, obviously he didn't watch it. He just saw the title and ran.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think attorneys are wordsmiths. They're word twisters. You know, they can make, you know, that's a big thing. That's why people are afraid to get up on the stand, because it's like, well, you could say, and same with police, you know, you say one thing. That's why, you know, people will tell you, ask for an attorney, because anything you say
Right. Immediately.
anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and
And
not
it will.
necessarily in the way that you say it.
I have a question.
Right.
What is the one word or words that you can no longer stand after these trials so far? Is there any
Um,
words that stand out to you that you hate?
what is it? My
Methodology?
daughter's across from methodology. Yeah,
That's one of
methodology.
mine. Yeah, I was like methodology and logic. I never want to hear those two words again.
Yeah.
Amy,
Yeah.
what about
What
you?
if
Do you have
any?
one?
What if any? Oh,
Who, if any?
What?
yeah. So,
What if
so
any?
if Lally were,
If any.
you know, doing the second trial, if he were the prosecutor on the second trial, or my daughter and I had discussed as a fun little thing, she doesn't think it's very fun, but rewatching trial one, and for every time Lally says, what if any, she has to do 5 push-ups.
Oh gosh, that's PE right there. She'll be in a PE class all day long. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, that is like
That-
intense. That's like military.
Or like when, or actually
That's
do it when
hysterical.
Yannetti says "of course," because remember when he was like, she's like, "No more, of course," and he's like, "Of course, Your Honor," and everybody busted out laughing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Of
that
course.
would be a good one too.
Of course.
Don't make
Yeah.
it a drinking
Sure.
game, because everybody's going to be drunk by the
That's
time
so
Lally's
funny.
done talking. The
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
No, no,
So-
no.
I have a question
Yeah.
for you guys. What do you think is the
Um,
reason that they got Hank Brennan as special prosecutor? What do you
Sure.
think the reason is that they brought him in?
I think I think they're trying to set him up to run for DA. I think he's also there to defend as the personal defense attorney of the McCabe's and of Mr. You know, it's gotta stop, Meatball Morrissey.
Meatball Morrissey.
So
My thinking is that, so listening to Ronnie,
Oh.
the juror, about, you know, how they were the jury. You know, some people felt intimidated by Brian Albert being there and Colin being there. I feel like Hank Brennan being there is an intimidation tactic towards the jury. He's People like our age and even the next generation up know who Hank Brennan is, I feel like, from seeing him on the news. They knew who Whitey was. And I feel like, me personally, to be sitting in that jury box and know that Hank knows my face, he knows my name, I feel like that would terrify me. I really do.
I almost feel like he would make me like angry. Like, how could you act like this to regular people? Like, you're treating people horribly.
Yeah.
And that part would get to me the most. So I would probably be like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, for me personally, but I'm also not in that area of New England area, and knowing, you know, I knew some of the Whitey case. I didn't know really who Hank was, but in the beginning, everybody was like, oh, Hank was going to come in and he's going to just dismiss these charges. And I'm like, why would they hire him as a prosecutor if he was going to dismiss charges? Like, there's no way.
No.
Kelly, you have to go back and you have to look on YouTube at like videos that Hank Brennan has been in, like different documentaries. And the way he talks about Whitey is like he was like a mentor. They became close friends, and Whitey was so like, he was notoriously violent, vicious.
Yeah.
You know, so this is the person that, you know,
I did hear him say that if Whitey were to call him at 2 a.m., which is funny because, you know, Karen's not allowed to call her family at 2 a.m. But if Whitey were to call him at 2 a.m., that he would pick up because that's like a brother calling, and, you know, they need to know your family's there. But now it's not okay. Now it's something nefarious going on. Like, you're trying to get away with murder for it. Like, that's the things that get me.
I like this. I like this what Scott McGinnis said. Hank Brennan is a mob lawyer hired to defend the mob. DA Meatball Morrissey, all the corrupt and connected cops in the McAlberts. Prosecuting Karen is incidental.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
What about that. You, Amy? Like, what is, like, I want to know what you think is your standout moment for the so far in the trial, and then I want to ask Amanda, and then
like the previous trial or since the trial stopped?
From everything from then until now. What do you feel is like your standout moment?
So, you know, during the trial, standout moments were Lenka, just a lying piece of shit. The Proctor was pretty like, whoa, right? But I have to say that I think the most takeaway thing of how I knew they were corrupt before, but I know they are now, and I'm going to tell you why. As an IT person, metadata is really important in cases. In any other case, it would have been up front and center, got all you needed, and you hook, line, and sinker, right? The fact that they had the Sally Port information all that time ago on a thumb drive, and it took up three thumb drives because there was so much information, and they didn't get video until the middle of trial. That was inverted, and they are breadcrumbing them with further video. Why don't they just turn over all 3 thumb drives instead of hacking them up? They should be pressured by Bev to actually produce every single terabyte of information that was extracted. Who knows? Because it was Garino picking it up,
a byte or a bit,
whatever.
Right,
and like they had an expert that didn't even know the difference between a byte and a bit. Like, that's like IT 101.
Right.
Like, if you don't know
I even know that, and I'm not in IT.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? And it's just and then Hank Brennan coming in. He's not there to prosecute, in my opinion. He is there to defend the Commonwealth, and he's nothing like it. Whenever he said we get to have a fair trial too, no, you should have all the facts and information brought in front of the defense for them to refute or whatever. It's not about you having a fair trial.
Your job is
You
to
should have
prove
your
she did it,
information, and you don't.
not to have a fair trial, to prove she did
Exactly.
it. It's on you. Amanda,
Yeah,
what's your
I think it's like
takeaway?
so I just on that, I think that he is mixing up the fact that like the Commonwealth, he says the Commonwealth deserves a fair trial. The prosecution is not the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth are the people.
Right.
The people, yes,
That's
absolutely. You know, that's yeah. You know, that's
They're
not
representing you guys. Yeah. I mean,
that's not the prosecution. So yeah, he's mixing that part up.
that makes sense. That I
Amen,
didn't think about
girl.
it that way. I like that.
Me either.
You know, and you guys, you know, Amy, you live up there.
I do.
You know,
I live in Norfolk County. Yeah.
You deserve for your tax dollars to be spent appropriately. You deserve to have your law enforcement acting appropriately, ethically. You deserve, you know, that would be fair to the Commonwealth. What they're doing to, you know, to the Commonwealth, the people of the Commonwealth is not fair at all.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
I mean, you just see them like they're basically just taking their tax dollars and just throwing it, and it's to basically all because they're trying to prove a point, but that Karen didn't lay down and let them take over. She didn't take their plea, and they thought they could just like hide it and call Proctor. He can sweep everything under the rug because he knows all you guys. Because we don't know each other, but mom says we're like a second family, like things like that. So what was your takeaway, Amanda, from like your biggest takeaway from the trial?
I think just like uncovering all the corruption is like, holy smokes. I think that, you know, they didn't see Turtle Boy coming. I think that this is what he has done, you know, since long before Karen Reed was ever, you know, a name on our radar at all. And I think he has, you know, uh, a great way of standing up to, you know, to the corruption. And I'm glad that he's doing it. He's really put himself on the line. And I posted the other day, like, you think about this, it's something that I convey to my daughter is like, he was a history teacher.
Yeah.
And the
you can
school
see it come out. Certain
yeah.
time you see the teacher come out in them.
Well, the other day, the second day in court last week, he was wearing like this green blazer with a blue tie, and I was like, "Yep, that's a history teacher right there."
Yeah, like
you know,
there's times that he speaks, and I'm like, "Oh,
yeah,
wow!"
Right.
Like I feel like I'm in class right now.
yeah, he really is, and you know, I've said it before, like he's making
Yeah.
history.
You
He's
know,
standing up. You know, who would have known anything about this? Like,
I think it's funny that like a guy, the happily angry lawyer goes, in my wildest dream, I would have never thought a guy named Turtle Boy.
that's how I got
would be
into the
doing
case.
this.
Was I was a fan of.
yeah,
I didn't start watching Turtle Boy until
Absolutely.
after the case. I started watching the case. I had been watching Melanie Little since January. I hadn't even really knew who Turtle Boy was. So it wasn't even until like the case started, and I remember someone brought him up to
He was a local
my boyfriend.
guy.
Yeah. When they brought him up to Lawyer You Know, and then he jumped in the chat with Lawyer You Know, like talking, and I was like, oh wait, I need to know who this is. Like, I need to know. Yeah, you
This
know
is
they
true.
do.
Scott
And then
McGinnis
when
just
he
said
jumped up,
the
they
Mass
were
State.
scrambling to shut him up. Scrambling.
Yeah.
That's why it's taken him so long to shut him up or try to.
yeah,
Right. Scott McGinnis just said. Mass State Police already hated Aiden long before Karen Reed. Facts. Turtle Boy
Mhm.
broke the Gendoso story. Hiccups and Mass State Police went down for that. That's right, in the Mass State
The
Police OT
overtime
scandal. He was
yeah.
very localized to New England. He would expose ratchets and government and people running for select boards of how they're like really bad people, and you either loved him or hated him. But he's really not wrong. With
You know, for
Karen Reed.
me, I had a little
So,
bit of a learning curve with him to actually
sorry,
be like,
yeah.
it's okay, like okay, what he says, like, wow, that's he's kind of brash, like rough around the edges, but once I started to get who he was, it took me a couple shows to watch him. And now, like, when he talks, it's just like he makes so much sense. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
honestly, for me, like I told Amy and Nikki this, and I wrote him in a turtle chat last week about it. And like, because of him, he's taught me to stand up for myself. And he's not taught me to not like let people walk all over me. He's given me the inspiration to stand up and say no. And if he's teaching me that, imagine how many kids that are watching this trial, or even like kids in the background. My kids hear it all the time. Like, Declan is 9 and runs around saying, he told me if I didn't buy him shoes last week that said Boston, I was not supporting my friends, nor was I freeing Karen Reed. And I was like, you're 9, first of all. And Target doesn't pay
Kids pick
Karen
up on
Reed
a lot.
anything. And so like for him to walk around and say free Karen Reed, or pick up like on all the things that we say and that creators say,
That's
I
right.
feel like he's teaching a lot of kids that people don't even realize are watching.
Well,
Yeah.
Amanda's daughter, look at her. She's 15.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. Mediocre Chicken Palm just said TB exposed judge's daughter for trying to get a DUI thrown out by offering actual favors to Mass State Police.
Oh my gosh.
It just keeps getting better. Yeah, no, I
That's
mean, all this is
crazy.
true. He was like on it like a hornet, and so they hated him like way before this, and this is just the icing on the cake, right?
And I
I'm
love
sorry,
when
Amanda, I
You're
couldn't
fine.
hear, I didn't hear you. Were you is that where you got exposed to the Karen Reed story originally? It was Canton Chronicles on Turtle Boy Live, or?
No, believe it or not, actually, I was in Aruba, which it like breaks my
Of all
heart.
places.
No, and it was my best friend who was looking at TikToks, like scrolling through TikToks, who was there with me, and she's like, "Have you heard about this Karen Reed thing?" And I was like, "No, not really." I think I had heard initially about like the accident. This is what happened. That she was accused of, hitting her boyfriend and leaving him in the snow. And I kind of forgot about it. And then, like I said, my best friend, she was scrolling through TikToks in Aruba, and, she's like, "Have you seen this?" And then I got just kind of hooked. So that's how, yeah. Yeah. And then I
went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, and then I learned about who Turtle Boy was later, and kind of thought the same thing, like, wow, he's like kind of a jerk, but and my daughter said he's kind of a jerk. And I said, well, here's the thing. If he was like a super sweet, nice guy, is he going to get the same results as he has gotten? He's always extremely personable, and courteous.
He's so nice.
And Meredith is awesome. My daughter loves Meredith. She talks to her, every time we see her. Aiden always takes the time to take a picture with Josie. We've talked to him a couple of times. But, he gets up there and says what he says, and you kind of, you can't have it, like I said, he's not like gonna be the super sweet guy and, say the things and stand up the way he is, so.
He has balls of steel. And I will
Mhm.
say, I've met him in person with my son, and he was so kind to my son and I. And he has the online persona, but at the end of the day, like, he is ruthless. And he stands up for what's right. And you don't have to like him. He's a little edgy, he's a little abrasive, but that doesn't make him a criminal, and that doesn't make him not right.
No.
Right?
And I, honestly, like, I've also noticed he's an amazing father. Like, he's
a good dad.
He has stopped his YouTube channels because his daughter needed something. And he's like, hold on a second, puts a video on, and he does whatever he needs, or his son needs him. And that's one of the first things I noticed about him. And I was like, wow.
That was the thing about the fake victim. What she said about him was like, so for, women who have been, have had happen what she was accusing him of, to get up there and lie and make like false reports, and like you could just hear in the things that she was accusing him of was like disturbing. How are you going to get up there and lie about it? Like, just
yeah.
Yeah.
It makes women who have been through domestic violence or actual violence and things like that. First of all, it's like a spit in their face, right?
Mhm.
Because that's why courts don't believe them and got all that type of thing. And it's really one of the worst things you can do to a man is turn around and go to court and lie and say those things and take him away from his kids. And I mean, that says more about her than it will ever about Aiden. And that's why with like people like Grant Smith Ellis perpetuating slanderous lies about somebody,
My
someone's going to catch it one of these days.
Yeah.
they
Someone's
say
going to get
stuff.
in trouble with karma.
They say
Mhm.
stuff like, he's so rude to women. He says this, and honestly, I don't find anything he says offensive to me.
No.
Like
Either.
when he says stuff, he's got a point behind it. And I do love me a good Turtle Boy rant. I will tell you a Turtle Boy rant and then turn around and saying, so anyway, like that is my favorite little like everyday thing when he goes off. But I do think that what Turtle Boy is changing the world. He's changing what people look at things, and he's opening eyes. And I want my kids to know that. Do I want my kids to watch him so much every night? No, but I want them to watch him on the steps of the courthouse. And,
Right.
like, I don't have a problem being part of the sex cult, but I don't want my kids part of it. You know what I mean? Like, even though it's just Turtle Chat and it's just kind of doing the same thing on YouTube. There's things I don't want my kids watching, but I want them to watch him talk. Like when he's on the steps with that bullhorn,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
Right.
inspiring.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
Kelly,
I like how Stacy.
Sorry.
I was just going to read that. I like how Stacy says Aiden's effective.
Mhm.
He is. Call it
Yeah.
what you want. The dude is effective.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, honey. Amanda, you go
And-
ahead.
And gives people voices. And Kelly, what you were saying about your son, referencing freeing Karen Reed, trying to use those words. Like my daughter, women are silenced so often. And it was great to hear her at the beginning of the week. She says, I think she was going to say something, and I said, be careful what you say or how you say that. And she says, you know what? It's not a true threat or fighting words. And those are the things that, is it a true threat or
Words
fighting
can't
words?
hurt. Like words can't hurt you. You
Amen.
calling, like that's the thing I've learned on X. Like people can say whatever they want to. You messing with my looks, pulling down my, whatever. That's fine. It's when you start getting like personal like stuff that you're posting about people. Like I mean, Christina said the other day she had her credit report posted on X, like stuff like that stuff I hate. And the fact that like Turtle Boy can just take it and doesn't even blink an eye, it's like, hey Sammy, it's like, oh my gosh, like that's, to me, that's inspiring. And I really feel like he's teaching a lot. So I mean, I've learned a lot, but and I've had a great time with you, Amanda. Thank you for coming on. I personally need to get going. I don't know how Amir's I have to go help my
Everybody
husband, and my
go
cat just got home.
Yes. Everybody go follow Law Girls Not Attorneys podcast. You can find them on every single platform. You can find them on YouTube, you can find them on Facebook, you can find them on Twitter, you can find them on TikTok,
Instagram,
that's where I found them. Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was amazing having you on. Thank you for coming and spending some time with us and letting our chat get to know you and hopefully make some friends. So
we hope to
definitely
see you again. I really enjoyed talking with you, and you're very insightful. So thank you, and way to go for teaching your daughter to stand up for what
you're
she
a great
believes
mom.
in, and that's amazing. And I think you're a great mom for that. So it takes a lot.
Thank you.
Virtual high five, mama.
Yeah.
Virtual high five.
We will absolutely have to do it again. And we have the trial like 18 days away. So
do we really think it's going to start in 18 days? Who really thinks it? I'm not holding my breath.
I wish I knew how to do a poll.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think Bev is like gung ho. Like she's like full road ahead. Yeah, I think so. I think she's going to try.
Because it was
she'll
supposed to start
try. I think she'll try for sure.
I
She'll
have
die
one more
trying.
question that
Yeah.
I am absolutely curious to ask you. I meant to ask you earlier, but I couldn't. What do you think about Hank coming up with the fact that they had the doctor go to Chloe with no certainty that he was even Chloe? I want your thoughts on that quickly before we end.
So yeah, I think that it was like after Lally said in the first trial that it was not, you couldn't, it was not like something that you could rely on, impressions. And it's so like subjective. There's definitely a chance that it's not really Chloe. Who knows that even if, I mean, these people are dark, like they're sick people. So like maybe, like maybe she had a chip in her and maybe they dug her up and took the chip out. I don't know. How can you, there's, I feel like there's no ends that they
Well,
won't
chips are so
go
easy.
to.
Like
Yeah,
they just
you
need
can.
a number. And so
Yeah,
many people don't register their chips.
yeah.
So thank you, Sammy, for putting that in there. Her link is right there in the chat, guys.
Oh, thank
But
you.
Thanks, Amy.
I'm one of the first people. I have a cat. I probably haven't even registered. I have to go through and make sure that all mine are registered. But like people can so easily just grab a number and put whatever animal's name they want to and whatever picture. They don't actually have like a DNA identification bank database for them, which they should. But like especially for things like this, to have a DNA, like that's a huge,
I
like
mean,
they
but
have
to
it for
not produce
people who
the
commit
dog,
crimes.
though.
Yeah, no.
Sketchy.
And they won't tell the defense where it is.
Yeah.
They refuse to give a location. So
So
why would
you can
people
go
believe
ahead and
them?
I
yeah.
think that was one thing that like, and it was the one time I have actually cried it with regards to the trial is thinking about like Chloe and thinking about like the thought that people have said that she's, not with us anymore. And it's like he would really do that. Brian Albert would really do that. He would really kill a dog. Like,
Facts.
that poor
Yeah.
dog who was defending her family, like
Yeah.
she didn't
Yeah.
know. She knew that, what we all think happened, she saw
Right.
John as a threat and she was going to try to protect her family. And we also have a running joke here that my daughter's laughing in the background. We also have a running joke that the Vermont thing was like what Brian told Colin, and Colin's just so dumb that he's like, oh, okay, she was sent to Vermont, like all of our hamsters, she's on a farm in Vermont, like
All of my
and they
old
just
dogs are on farms in Vermont. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
running
My
free
son's
in
beta
Hillary,
fish is there right now too. Yeah.
But their last
God,
40
all
years, there's a bunch
wild.
of my animals there. So I can tell you, it's just,
yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
Hold on.
But I think
I
it's
love
gonna
Tom
talking
be
to you
CPU.
guys.
All right, guys. All right.
Yeah. I
It
think
was
it's gonna be a
wonderful having you on.
whole
Hopefully we can have
Are we
have you
waiting,
again
Tom?
when
Are they
everything kind of starts rolling.
Tommy, are they supposed to be like coming out? Like, is it, or I know it's after 5. Or after 6. I've been looking. I haven't
It's
seen
after 6.
anything. So I didn't know
Yeah.
if you
Is
had
that
like,
Eastern Standard Time, or is that like
yeah.
That's Eastern
Yeah.
Standard. Yeah.
Are we on the like
That's
West
Eastern
Coast
Standard.
today? I've
Hi,
been
Zach.
waiting to see.
Good to
So
see you,
if you guys
Hubbugga.
see anything, let me know. I'm excited to
All right, Amanda.
find out.
Yeah,
Hopefully we can have you on again and
honey.
we'll talk some more. Karen Reed, you are absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. And everybody should go subscribe and follow and do all the things because her and her daughter are absolutely amazing and deserve all that support. So thank you guys. And we'll see you on the
Thanks,
next
Amanda.
one.
Love you, Amy. We'll
Bye.
talk to
Thank
you
Bye,
guys
guys. Love
later.
you.
Bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.